Welcome to Strategic Insights, guidance for life's most important decisions with attorney Alan Eighmey.
Welcome to Strategic Insights, guidance for life's most important decisions with California estate planning attorney Alan Eighmey. Alan is the managing attorney of Strategic Legal Group, where he helps individuals and families across the Central Valley plan for the future with clarity and confidence. I'm your host, Evan Mack, and today we're asking a question many people don't think about until it's too late. What really happens if you die without a will in the state of California? How you doing, Alan?
Good. How are you doing, Evan?
I'm well. Let's get down to brass tacks, though, Alan. Like, what does it mean to die in intestate in California?
Yeah. So if you die without a will or intestate in California, it triggers a lot of issues that you may not have been anticipating. First of all, you have to go through a whole probate process, which is kind of a long court monitored process where the executor or the administrator has to, show up for hearings and do a lot of extra work that may not be necessary if you had done some planning. And it can also set up for unusual distributions that you might not have expected.
So who decides what happens to your assets if there's no will? Is that process automatic or is it court-based?
It's court based upon the California probate code, which it can be a little bit interesting at times and take unexpected turns that you're not really looking or anticipating happening. So,
Mm,
for example, if you die intestate and say you're married, possibly your second marriage. Uh, if they don't have a will or anything and the surviving spouse dies within 15 years, half of the assets can go to the predeceased spouse's family, which sometimes can be a little bit interesting or tricky, especially if there wasn't a great relationship there.
mm. So, Alan, can you walk us through how California decides who inherits when there's no plan in place?
Yeah. So if there's no plan in place, the California covers is intestacy is statutory. So basically, what happens is your spouse would get their one half of the community property share, and then depending upon the number of children that you have, your children would get either one third or one half of the remaining, and then your surviving spouse would get the other portion. So, and it just kind of trickles down from your spouse to your children. If you don't have children, it goes to your parents. If your parents are passed, then it goes out to siblings, and if they're passed, then it goes out to your nieces and nephews. It can be quite the task to kind of track down some of these people at times as well too. And if large families, it gets everything gets spread out pretty thin.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
so Alan, what are some common issues that come up when there's no will, especially for if the families or maybe with families with minor children?
Yeah, so the issue you have with if families with minor children is if something happens and unfortunately, case like possibly a horrific car accident or something where both spouses die, and you have minor children, it's you need to have a will just to pick who's going to be the guardian of those children. Who do you want to take care of them? Uh, the family member that the court picks may not be the family member that you would want to do it. Depending upon that person, your siblings' beliefs or leanings. You may not want that sibling to raise your child. You may have wanted another sibling that the court would have necessarily not thought was as appropriate. But you knowing them the best, would be the one to kind of make that decision. We all have members in our family that we wouldn't trust our dog with. So, why would we take the risk of trusting our children with them? So, yeah.
Is it true that your spouse automatically inherits everything in the state of California, or are there surprises that people might not expect?
Yeah, there's a lot of big surprises that people don't expect. For example, um, uh, just in the intestacy period, your spouse is guaranteed one half of the community assets, but what happens to the other half? Again, like I stated earlier, depends on whether how many children you have
Mhm.
or not. So, if you have more than one child, then there's a they get that one half share of the remaining community assets. If you have just one child, they only get a third, and your spouse could only get two-thirds of that.
Wow.
The other big thing, like I said earlier, that we've run into lately is with blended families.
Mhm.
So, second marriage, the deceased spouse was not very close to their family and or even their children. And then what happens is, the surviving spouse dies a few years later. One half of the estate automatically goes to the first deceased spouse's family. So when you're thinking that, well, I died and everything went to my wife, it's all fine, but then something happens to her, and then it doesn't go to their kids or to her family or how she chooses. If she dies intestate as well, one half of that's going to go to the first deceased spouse's family. So that's caused a few issues that we've had lately. So,
Hmm. How long does the probate process take when someone dies intestate, and what are the biggest, pain points for the families?
yeah. So, if somebody dies intestate, the whole process can take on a good probate a year. Most of the time, it's a little bit longer. That pain process comes in both financially and psychologically, right? You're dealing with the death of your spouse, and you're going through all of those emotions and those things. And having this long, drawn out probate process just kind of brings it up all of the time. Whether it's, for your spouse or, heaven forbid, one of your children pass away or something, you know, every court hearing, everything you do is just a kind of a mental reminder of their passing. So that makes it difficult, but also just having to try to deal with the finances and juggle different things that way while you're trying to get access to possibly some money that the your deceased spouse had, or your child, or your mother or your father, and you're trying to take care of a bunch of their bills and those kinds of things, and you just don't have ready access to that money because it's all tied up in the court. That can cause a lot of issues. And so now you've compounded the grief with possibly financial issues and problems, which can really be a burdensome on a family.
Mm. You talked about it earlier, but, about the blended family. How does that intestacy, kind of how do the law handle maybe the second spouses or multiple stepchildren?
Yeah, so like I stated earlier, that blended family issues really come to light in an intestacy, because no matter what happens there, no, again, the psychological issues, none of the family really feels good about what's going on because they feel that their loved one really didn't have a choice in what was happening.
Hmm.
So that becomes a lot of times animosity amongst the stepchildren and the current spouse. There's other times too, like I stated, when if the surviving spouse, if she does not do anything, half of the estate goes to the surviving children of the first deceased spouse. But also, if she does do something, she can write those individuals out. And so suddenly that side of the family kind of gets written out of the will or the trust. And then that also brings up a lot of animosity. So good planning kind of not only for finances, but for the mental and physical well-being of the people who live after you is really important. So.
Hmm. Are there any special risks for families with special needs children, or beneficiaries on public benefits?
Yeah, so with special needs children, it makes it very important that you do planning because it could cause them to lose important benefits that they may have. If the child or the special needs child is on SSI and getting benefits through that, and or if they're on Medi-Cal and getting medical benefits through Medi-Cal, inheriting money can make them lose those benefits. And then the issue becomes then is the money that they have and inherited only lasts so long. It gets usually depleted fairly quickly, and then they have to try to re-qualify for benefits, which can often be a big hassle. Also, if they die intestacy and the special needs child inherits money, the state may set up what's called a first party special needs trust, and that special needs trust can assist those people, the special needs child while they're alive. But when they pass away, the money that's left in that first party special needs trust will end up going to the state to cover the costs that the state paid for that individual. Where if there was some pre-planning in there and you could do a third-party special needs trust, then the beneficiaries of any residual that's in that trust could be, whoever you wanted, other remaining family members, those kinds of stuff. So it allows you to possibly put more money in there to take care of the special needs child, knowing that when something happens to them, it's going to get distributed out to the other heirs as you wish anyhow.
Hmm. So, Alan, for someone listening who hasn't gotten around to creating that will, what's the first step to start protecting their family?
The first step is an easy one, actually, is just to know that you want to do it and make an appointment with somebody who can give you a guidance and advice on what you need to do. And then from there, just kind of follow through. The first step in any of these kinds of things is always, the hardest step to take. So I would encourage anybody who hasn't thought about doing a plan now to just kind of reach out to an attorney who does estate planning and is well known in their community, and help them, make an appointment with them just as a consultation to see where you're at and what things could benefit you.
Awesome. Alan, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you all for listening to Strategic Insights. If you've been putting off creating a will or trust, now is the time to take the first step. Visit strategic-law.com to schedule a consultation and make sure your loved ones are protected, no matter what the future brings. And don't forget to leave a review, and subscribe so you do not miss the next episode. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.